Welcome back to Face to Face. I'm John Ralston. We're talking about a controversial SWAT raid in Seven Hills and what's transpired since. Joining me to talk about it, Nevada ACLU Executive Director Gary Peck. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me, John.
Do you find this incident to be that disturbing from what you know? And if so, from a person who is very concerned about civil liberties, what are you concerned about?
Well, first of all, I can't adjudicate all of the facts here, but I can tell you, based on reports and based on what I've heard, there is reason to be profoundly disturbed about what transpired. I mean, at the very least, John, it raises questions about whether or not officers followed departmental policy. And frankly, if they did, then it raises very serious questions about the policy itself. From an ACLU perspective, the broader framework here, the broader set of issues, has to do with the war on drugs. Here you're dealing with a guy who no one alleged was a kingpin. I mean, basically, as I understand it, the allegation was that he was a small-time dealer. And what you have ensuing as a result of that is a situation that not only put the lives of that suspect at risk, but the lives of his girlfriend, the lives of the children in the house, and darest I say it, I am concerned about putting the lives of officers at risk in a circumstance like this.
Of course, there's neighbors around, too, whose lives could have been...
Absolutely.
But let me just ask you some specific questions.
Sure.
One of the central allegations here that the family is making is that they never identified themselves as cops. If you listen to the 911 phone call, it's clear that they did not know they were cops. That is very unusual, is it not?
Well, it's not only unusual, it is very troubling if that is true.
It's dangerous for the cops, it's dangerous for the people inside,
It's dangerous for everyone,
yeah.
And again, it's important to understand the circumstance we're in. We're in a circumstance where the suspect is alleged to have been a small-time drug dealer. That makes no sense whatsoever, and I would hope the sheriff would echo these sentiments.
Well, let me tell you what concerns me here, and I hate to sound like a member of the ACLU, but I don't hate to, but...
Nothing wrong with a journalist being an ACLU member.
But you understand what I'm saying here. I guess what disturbs me is that now what seems to be happening, and this is why I wish I had the cops or the DA here, is the circling of the wagons. You know, making this guy seem like he was Pablo Escobar. Statements that he didn't have a job when it's clear that he did have a job. What they did to that house, apparently in their zeal to try to make a case that apparently cannot be made based on what we know. That's what's disturbing about this, and it's the kind of behavior from cops that causes people to lose their faith in cops.
Yes, I'm not in a position to question motives here, but I will say that some of what has happened in the aftermath is very troubling, including statements that were made about about Manny after the fact, which turned out not to be true. Here's a guy who had a clean enough record, for what it's worth, to have registered firearms. Here's a guy who was gainfully employed. I'm now hearing that, and look, nobody cares more about kids than we do. We spent a lot of time working with the county on child welfare issues. We take them very seriously. Kids at risk should be removed from households. But no one can tell me with a straight face that kids should be removed because people are in economic difficulty at this time in this valley.
Well, we're out of time, Mr. Peck. I do want to give the sheriff credit for something. He is going to come on. He has an opening in his schedule soon. I hope he can address some of these questions. Always appreciate your willingness. I'm sure you're going to follow this case as we are.
Absolutely, and I'm eager to hear what Doug says, and I'm not surprised he's coming on.
Thanks for coming on, Mr. Peck. And the next face-to-face, we'll make more friends with law enforcement. Is the district attorney's office paying witnesses to testify? That's the charge from two defense attorneys who claim the DA is exploiting the law. Is the alleged practice resulting in wrongful convictions? Find out all about this controversial story on the next Face to Face.